Yeah, way too often have we seen teams just say, we've got burst, we've got team fight, and then BKBs come out and there's just nothing. You've got just no sort of plan to deal with it, which is always kind of strange. I can understand that in pubs where for 50% of people, BKB is an item that just doesn't register in their brains, but going up against a pro team, you got to assume if we're having trouble against team fights, we're going to take Magic Community into consideration, but you know, sometimes it doesn't always work that way strat-wise playing into it, but Wildcard have plenty of time, I think, to at least shore up this lineup a little bit. I don't know if they're going to be able to take the edge outright compared to what Nouns have put together, but okay. They have plays like that to make. The Razor coming in, so if this does turn into a sort of longer duration fight, the Razor's going to have a lot of time to build up that static link damage.
Yeah, and he always has a great target in this game, right? When it comes to Razor versus Lone Druid, the bear is always going to be in position. Of course, then you talk about Lone Druid and Savage Roar, though, and if you can get him, possibly before the Razor pops that BKB, then you link, you roar, the Razor runs away, breaks the link. That's pretty bad, but I think this was an active hero, a more active hero than what they could have possibly looked for. Of course, with Yamsun, once you see the DK, you always think about the Monkey King as your first pick. But honestly, with the magic damage coming from the Skyreth Mage, I think that probably would have been a little bit of a liability, just because even though you get the Jingu stacks, if you get Dragon Tail and you end up eating 10 right clicks, does it really matter that you have Jingu? It's one of those situations where the Razor is certainly going to be a little bit more stable, but once he gets, let's say, the BKB refresher and then maybe a Blink Dagger, he will be a real threat that you have to deal with on the LD. And if you're not too careful on that Gunner Lone Druid, and you could die pretty quick. But at the same time, got a lot of questions here. Is it going to be the last pick Husky hero for Nouns, or will we see him slot into the CK and then, well, now that they've seen the Razor, they could just choose to counterpick it with Costabile's hero if they want to take that route. I think that's why Wildcard are banning fives, though. They want to try to force this into a CK1 as much as they possibly can.
Just sort of easier to deal with if that is in fact going to be the case. Meanwhile, for Nouns, showing some respect there to Devi's Pool. They take away the Beastmaster and the Broodmother as well, because well, you never know. He doesn't get to play it quite as much anymore, but Devi, very much an issue at Brood. So those heroes banned away, and now for Nouns, what will the call be? Go for the 5 here. No, they do not. That is a Bloodseeker pickup for them, and, well, Wildcard's lineup is maybe going to struggle against that Bloodseeker. The Pango in particular, they are looking to run Esk on that core Pango again.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a brutal pick. It's great versus the Pango. It stops Razor from doing exactly what he wants to do versus both the Snapfire and the Wyvern. Anybody you cold embrace is going to be met with the Blood Right. Anytime you get those kisses down, you know there's going to be a Blood Right at your feet. You're probably not going to get the full duration off. I mean, it feels like it's a perfect pick for them, to be honest. And we knew that that flexibility was going to be there. We knew the CK wasn't going to be slotted in here, but I do wonder if Wildcard are maybe caught off guard here, and then they return with the Shaman. So what's it going to be, Wildcard? This is a little bit different. Is it actually going to be the Devi Snap? Is it going to be the Devi Pango? Really, I was going to say, Yemsud Razor is the one guarantee on their side, but it looks like everybody else is really undecided.
Not 100% sure what they want to do. I can understand that. It seems like Esk Pango and, yeah, the Snap in Devi's hands is kind of the more obvious play, and you just...
And then Alexo Wyvern, and then Sam Shaman, maybe? Because Alexo is more or less the Wyvern player on this team, at least in times past. But yeah, there's a lot of deliberation going on right now. I think especially in the mid lane. Could also see the Snapfire going mid, which would not be too bad. And
Oh.
okay, it is nothing that we
Oh.
thought it was going to be. It's going to be the offlane Snapfire with the mid Wyvern, a role that did not get buffed with that Arctic Bird change really all too much. Because if you do get the Ags, then, well, it doesn't really matter. They got a buff to the duration, but it's been a while since we've seen this one. This is pure Tundra all the way back. Maybe we got some Tundra fans on Wildcard side.
Would not be surprised. I mean, a lot of their boys have had some experience with Tundra members over the years, so maybe taking a page out of that book. But yeah, it's been a while since we've seen the core Wyvern, and as excited as I am to see it, obviously, there's a reason why core Wyvern hasn't been very popular. Excuse me. This feels like a risk, but if you're Wildcard, it's a risk that you were kind of forced into. That fifth pick Bloodseeker from Nouns really kind of forced their hand.
Yeah, and well, hey, if you're gonna rupture us, right? Esk is not going to be too bothered by that rupture now. You know, he's going to be flying over. He's going to try not to care as much as he can about the matchup, but it does feel like Nouns got every single hero they could have possibly wanted in this draft, and I think that's where Wildcard are going to be struggling, especially in the lanes here. They've just got so much more going for them than they do on the Wildcard side, and we'll have to see, because if Wildcards start out by losing their lanes, I don't think it gets easier for them.
It's going to have to be a point of emphasis for them. This is not a lineup that feels like it's going to play well from behind, at least against what Nouns have. Not sure about generally speaking, but generally speaking doesn't really matter, because they lose this game, there's really nothing left. They're down 0-1 in the series, backs against the wall, facing elimination ET, so leave it all out on the court. There isn't really a court, so that phrase doesn't work as well, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, and you know, at the end of the day, right? We're not saying goodbye to everybody. It's elimination to the lower bracket. We will get to see them for their third place decider, but you don't want to be that team. You want to take this to a game 3. Wildcard is very capable, and we see a huge clash here. They've got the vision though, and I think Husky might be paying the price. But look at the blood right.
It's going to hit on everyone. Not enough, though. Husky will go down. Moo's got to sort of walk away here as well. And to make it out. Sammy's got to wait a little while for the shield crash. That's a nice play from Yamsun, though. Forces Moo to turn around for the stun, and by doing so, he leaves himself in range. And okay, Wildcard able to get a pair of kills off of what was initially sort of looking like Nouns trying to wrap around and be aggressive. Can they get another? Lexo's got the shackles. There's no swashbuckle to sort of close the gap, though, and he did get caught by that concussive. So looks like Z-Freak starts sort of walking out of here. But if you're Wildcard, that's exactly the kind of play that you wanted, and Z-Freak may not actually be clear. Shackles are back up. Body blocks are coming in. They have to have this. Shield crash is going to be held for as long as he can, but will eventually deploy it, and not 2 kills ET, it's 3 before the horn.
Yeah, it's a fantastic start, and we'll see. Alexa actually spends the sentry up here, so Sammy Boy gets to actually sit and wait, and there are so many sentries placed top, and they switch. They actually swap up the lanes, and this kind of made sense. You get to keep the balance. You do have a double range set up top, so should maybe put a little bit more pressure onto Moo, but I think more or less now Sammy Boy in the bottom lane is just going to be kind of the hero tanking the Chaos Bolt. If he could do that for Devi, that's going to be really nice for the snap.
Wildcard, strong start, and I do believe, ET, that you covered for me, because I did misspeak earlier. They are down 0-1, but this is upper bracket, so all that talk about elimination and whatnot was premature on my part. That they won't drop out of the event entirely. I was too hyped up for my own good, but they will drop down to the lower bracket, and that is obviously a fate that they would like to avoid if at all possible.
And there's some scary teams waiting down there for them. We'll have to see what the results are with that later matchup today, but you want to be the team just with that assurance. You get kind of a chill day to follow up, and you get to stop playing Dota. You know, you get a little rest up, you get a little take a breather, you know, make sure everything works. And I think that's why they pick the LD in this situation. They just want to make sure that this strat is still something you're going to be thinking about going into that best of 5. It's where the hero pools are always and have always been so deep on the Noun side.
Still
bottom. Ooh. Nice cookie. Great cookie, actually, from Devi, even though another Chaos Bolt onto the salve.
Bolt hits. Blood Right's not enough, but that's 2 salves now that they're going to have to use, and some tangos to go along with it. So regen in this lane is really starting to get sort of whittled down a bit, and they could just do it again. Yeah, they're going to go for it. There's going to be the stun, the Reality Rift, the Blood Right. Costable, though, HP not looking so hot, trying to fall back. Husky might just be able to carry on. Sammy, that's a nice swashbuckle, but Husky's just going to keep on chasing, and he will get the kill. And now Devi kind of pushed far forward and doesn't have a whole lot of mana. He's holding some stick charges, though, so he would love to try and bait something, and he does exactly that. Husky wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, and really, there was nothing coming out. His courier just got sent back. It just brought him some stuff, but
he just stopped moving for a few seconds. Sorry.
Dropping his soul ring components, you know, it's the micro on ping, you know. I think he got everything though. Oh, it's actually not it's actually 2 bracers. Oh my goodness, he's so tanky now. But I think both sides don't really care too much about those deaths. The supports were tapped. They want their mana back. And now Husky gets to TP back with a stick and full HP and mana. Now Wildcards still have to be very careful.
While, take a quick look over to the mid lane, see how this very bizarre matchup is going. Gunner on the LD, Esk on the Wyvern. But, well, I don't really know if there's much in the way of aggression in that middle lane. There's not a lot that the Wyvern can really do to the LD at this point.
Yeah, it's just a macro game, effectively. It's just getting efficient and getting some early farm. Once you have the Witchblade, you can pretty easily kill Gunner, but it's where these roots, it's annoying. You're a ranged hero, you don't have all too much damage. Any fight you take near the runes is actually going to be quite a struggle, and I think Esk actually filling his bottle might be a little bit of a problem here. He doesn't have a point in the Savage Roar just yet, but you know once he does, well, now Esk's bottle is going to be empty forever, because you know Gunner's going to send and split for the runes pretty much every time he has the opportunity to. As bottom lane, the trades again, everybody dies.
Stable is able to get the kill onto Devi first, though, and then backs away before Sammy can really do anything other than just clean up the kill onto Husky. But 4 for support. Always going to be the trade nouns we're looking for, and while all of this has been going down, the Bloodseeker has not been really falling behind on farm. He is technically trailing the Razor up top for Wildcard, but still sitting pretty at the moment. And now Sammy, okay, that's a bit of an awkward one. Fortunately, shield crashes directly into the stun and the Blood Right, but how much further do they really want to go? With Devi back in, this is not going to be an easy jump, but Husky just going to plow his way forward, and instead he actually goes on to Devi, but now they can turn their attention back onto Sammy. He jumped into the Blood Right once again. I think they can get another trade for Husky here, but if Gustavo is the ones getting the kills, they really don't care, and now Devi might actually go down as well. He's got to sidestep the Blood Right. He is able to do so, but that only pushes him further into that tree line. Does the Bloodseeker go
needs
in?
A cookie target.
He's
He
trying.
has to dodge, but
There's the Blood Right, though, and he's just gonna straight dive the tower for it. He should get it. Can he now get out in time? Yeah, he can, because Sammy, well, he doesn't do that much damage. It's only a level 1 swashbuckle, so 2 kills for the Bloodseeker, and still a little bit low on HP, so might have to play this somewhat carefully against the Pangolier, but he seems to be doing just fine right now, and Sammy isn't really looking to pick the fight at the moment.
yeah,
May not have a
he
choice,
will just
though.
be able to TP back in, but man, it's a little bit dangerous right now because I do believe Husky actually made a rotation towards that mid lane, but Costa Bile is a creep from level 6. Then he has Rupture, then he gets to play on both these heroes. Costa Bile might take a trip all the way back to the base, but because the Shaman is actually sitting at about half HP top, this is a fast rotation. He's sitting at 540 move speed while the dive goes in mid, and nobody can respond because there's so many hectic TPs towards the bottom lane. S is just getting dove to the tier 2.
Both the supports in. Gunner a little bit slow to sort of come up from behind, but he does so really at the perfect timing to actually find the kill in general. And Nouns at this point starting to roll a little bit of momentum bot into mid. Of course, that does mean top lane's a little hung out to dry, but Moo kind of knew this was happening, right? That's what you get the DK4 to stabilize that lane, and if Gunner can put even more damage onto this tier 1 tower, maybe even take the tower in the first maybe 10 to 12 minutes, you are really going to be putting Wildcard in a bad spot as Esk TP's back in, immediately gets stunned. But they don't want to do much more than that. Now the TP's come through from Wildcard, but now it's too late.
They might be able to get this kill on the Husky. Doesn't have boots. It's still a little bit rough. And okay, damn. Big curse.
Now they have to get it.
A little bit more, but does Sammy Boy have the fadeaway? No. He gets 8 the bottle, and then the Rupture comes through, and it's on a target without a TP. Oh,
Exo's
man.
getting hit up. Meanwhile, they stun Esk in the middle lane, and you can't... I don't... Honestly, at that point, ET, I don't care if you have to dive the tower. I don't think you can commit that ult and not get the kill. You have to be able to secure it. If you don't, then you leave yourself too wide open for that exact return play.
Yeah, and it's a very fast Bloodseeker that gets to make that rotation. That fight just dragged on way too long, and Gunner is so happy right now with his situation. Look at his last hits. He's 48 and 19 to Esk's 15 and 4. This is not okay. This is not what you want. This is from your mid laner, and Honestly, it was a fine play for them at first. You know, they defend their towers. Sure, it's a great play from nouns as well, getting as much damage as they did onto the tier 1. But once you lose this tower, Eska's out of a job. He doesn't really have all too much to do except for defend his next tower. And look at top. Mu gets to TP out, doesn't go down. Zfric doesn't have that same play available to him, but so much time is being spent on this Wyvern. And oh,
Plasma field doesn't hit.
oh.
That is
Oh,
brutal.
man.
And with Esk TPing top instead of mid, the tower does go down. Gunnar was getting jumped in on, but he's able to get off that transformation in time. But with the Mortimer Kisses, they might still kill him. There we go. Okay. Solid play. They get Gunnar. They're going to try and track down Husky here as well. CK still doesn't have any boots, so he's not very fast, and he is getting locked down. So they should be able to find a second kill in this scenario, and that's going to help Wildcard. Some much-needed momentum being sort of taken back into their hands. The problem is, well, you look at the net worth right now, it's still the Bloodseeker at the top, and Gunnar, even with that death, still sitting very, very comfortably ahead of his direct counterpart. Kazesk is not quite broke ET, but kind of close considering he's supposed to be the mid option.
Yeah, and it still just is the little amount of time he's been able to actually just farm up. It feels like he's really out of his element right now. And then Gunnar TP's top, and then they're immediately putting pressure back onto that tier 1 tower. And Wildcard have to concede a lot of these objectives. Really, their strongest tools are the Kisses and the Rolling Thunder, and those are tools they're going to need to use pretty much off cooldown here, because when the map is stagnant, when nothing is going on, Nouns is completely happy. They are just going to play this waiting game. They're going to wait for the Blink Dagger up onto the DK, and oh no.
Is unbelievably fortunate that Gunnar was too far away. The bear couldn't actually get that first right click in, but that's your Razor being pushed back. Yamsun has to go all the way back to the base, and I don't know, at this point, ET, how well can Wildcard rely on Yamsun having okay farm to sort of act as the anchor for them?
They could certainly do it. They could do it, especially if they find Gunnar like that. That's why they've got the curse, right? If he's ever too close just farming, it was a really nice smoke up from them. But that's where, unfortunately for Yamsun, everything is going to be about this BKB. Everything is about whether he pops it, immediately gets eaten up by a rupture, and then stuck to wait. Whoever pops their BKB first is who loses these team fights. It's a game of chicken that's going to play out in this game. It's one where, fortunately, you are Razor. You do get a refresher eventually, and then you've got, you know, 2 BKBs to work with, but until then, I feel like even once he has this BKB, all it takes is proper positioning from Costa Bile, and then we're still going to have that nothing play out, and I still think nothing heavily favors Nouns. They just have too many things to work with.
Rupture onto Sammy. Sammy does not have a TP, so this is going to get a little awkward for him. He's going to try to just run as fast as he can, and this might be a bait. Kostable's coming in. He's going to get stunned up, but Husky's here as well. They're going to try and take this fight. Kostable, though, lost a lot of HP, and Yamsun is trying to track him down. Mortimer Kiss is now flying through. And they will take a very good trade on the Wildcard side. I think Husky's going to get to walk away here, but yeah, they're not going to catch him. But they don't care. They got what they wanted. Kostable gets baited in, and Sammy plays that very, very nicely.
And then look at the pit. Now this is Wildcard doing their thing. They're making some cheeky plays across the map here. No Cold Embrace, unfortunately, so it's not like you can freeze Alexo, but is the one Serpent Ward outside going to say anything to Zfric? I don't think he saw it, but
He's going to get jumped in on, so he's distracted as well. TP coming in.
Oh.
They kill Sammy. Oh, Kostable!
No!
Oh, that's... Oh, man, that's unfortunate. Alexo at least is able to keep it out of the opponent's hands, but that's all they're going to get from that. Sammy gets taken down first. They rush into the pit for 2 more kills, ET, and... Well, in Game 1, it was the Aegis timing out. In Game 2, it's just trying to get their hands on it in the first place. Roche is not really going well for Wildcard in this series.
No, not really. And I think both of them felt like they were safe because the Bloodseeker was just dead. He was just respawning, but as soon as Costa Bile sees that he has 600 MS, something's up, right?
Right.
Something's happening. Our bottom tier 1's alive. What's going on here? I don't even know if they saw that ward at the end of the day, but It's super unfortunate. Curse, looking up bottom. They
Mm.
have this play to get out their Snapfire if they need it, right next to the bear. A move
But now
might
here
get
comes
taken down here, but
Gosable.
everyone, yeah, it's 5 heroes. They're coming, and they can't take this fight anymore.
They're going to get Husky, so they can at least get a kill going there, but... Oh, the root onto Yamsun. He really does need to back off. Z-Freak doesn't want to let them go either, though. He does have the concussive and the silence, but... Well, it's sort of split between Yamsun and Alexo, so they're at least going to be able to back themselves off, but... Not what they were hoping for. They thought that they had just maybe brought some numbers that their opponents didn't see with S kind of making his way in. Instead, they get sort of counter-baited, and Husky for 2 or 3 is going to work quite nicely for Nouns.
Yeah, kind of just get to do whatever they want. Now they get to reset. They get to retreat to their side of the map. Moo is about to have his Blink Dagger. It's a crazy fast Blink Dagger. Even has Arcane Boots, which is maybe a little bit different on the DK, but maybe Moo's saying, I'm going to be casting a lot of spells. I'm going to get the Shard. It's going to feel great, but so unfortunately, Wildcard just kind of bumble into the jungle here. There's a Blink Dagger up on Divine. It's why they make the smoke happen, but they see Z-Freak. I don't know if they can kill Z-Freak, though. And then it looks like this is just going to peter out into nothingness.
As you said before, nothingness very much sort of favors Nouns, so they are very comfortable with this. And I did notice as well for Moo, so the Arcane Boots and the Fairy Trinket. So Moo wants to be involved, and as part of that, he's trying to sort of mitigate the cost of these spells as much as possible. So once the Blink Dagger's out to him, would not be surprised, even when he doesn't have the Dragon form, to see that DK try to make some plays, because at the end of the day, the Bloodseeker can join quickly. You've got a Skywrath Mage who's just unbelievably far ahead here right now. He's close to an Atos, and he's sitting at level 8, which isn't, or level 9 now, which isn't quite up there with the cores, but it's very much at the top in terms of the supports.
Yeah, and we'll see a little bit of drawing on the map. See them pushing into the side lanes. I just am really concerned. Once Costabile has this BKB, how do you take a fight on Wildcard? It needs to be a perfect curse from Esk, but because he is that core Wyvern, because he is going for items like the Witchblade, probably going to turn for either BKB or an Ags next. It's no Boots of Travel, it's no Blink Dagger, it's no Force Staffs, and he will queue up the Boots of Travel, but it's a lot of time. Even though Nouns, they want to just farm, and well, that's a free kill bottom. Oh, they actually don't keep the Arcane Bolts on him, but should be able to die to this, and yeah, we'll do so.
Try to do the sort of cool guy play and just walk away before the kill was finished, but you end up looking a little bit silly when you have to turn back around and finish the fight, but they do at least finish it. The problem is, up in the top lane, there is a counter maneuver from Wildcard. 3 heroes up and on to that Bloodseeker, and Costabile was close to the BKB ET, but he didn't quite have it in Wildcard. Getting pretty much the most valuable kill on the map right now with that one.
Yeah, maybe he was looking bottom as well. It's a little bit strange because they did just have to Rolling Thunder from the tree line is how I'm assuming they caught him off guard. But at the same time, I think Costabile has no business really giving up his life right now because he knows the time he's at, as Yemsun is unfortunately getting beat up by Gunner, just being very, very obnoxious here. But now the Razor is actually sending out his BKB. So we could see another smoke from Wildcard. I think they'd love Divide to finish off the Shard before they go for another smoke, just so they do have that Blink initiation that they still are lacking. But that's why they get counter-smoked on. They only find Alexo, but unfortunately popping the Serpent Wards, these are going to get cleaned up real fast.
Okay, Alexo's microing a little bit, denying those Serpent Wards, but there is a fight breaking out. Costabile got caught again, and they save him. They need some sort of backup, but they don't have it. Sammy gets the kill. They're at least able to avenge their teammate, or maybe not actually. Cold Embrace buying some time. Esk is into the fight, but he doesn't want to commit that ult, so Sammy does die. He'll immediately buy back, though, TPing himself onto the outpost. And now it's Nouns' cue to leave. One TP out will be successful, the second will not. This Husky does get hit up by the curse. However, Husky eating the curse is actually pretty damn good if you're Nouns, because the rest of your core heroes were able to get away, but see, that's 3 times in a row now. Costabile's been caught out alone and still doesn't have the BKB.
Yeah, and I feel like with the route that he took, he has this vision in the mid lane, kind of giving him confidence, but Wildcard were just sitting at the trees. They were just kind of waiting for that connection to be made, and maybe it's just a stroke of luck, but that is a very aggressive Elder Dragon farm, and one under complete Wildcard vision here. Don't know if Wildcard want to stick around, though. There's no BKB, there's no kisses for another 30. I feel like a reset would be just as nice here. Not to mention, we're starting to get some items actually finished up on this Wyvern now, so we might look to involve him maybe a little bit more. He's going for the Ags, he's foregoing the Boots of Travel. It's a tough choice to make, but giving him some movement speed regardless will be nice, but also just allowing him to actually deal damage in these long engagements. One Arctic Burn just simply isn't enough.
Needs a little bit more to work with his move. Jumping mid, gonna jump onto Sammy. There's gonna be the Mystic Flare. It's a nice attempt there from Devi. Tried to push his teammate out with the cookie and maybe give Sammy the time to crash and swashbuckle away, but no. Z-Freak's able to continue the damage. Husky's the one to get the kill. Now they're looking towards the top lane. Yamsun, yeah, needed to fall back. He does have the BKB, but that's not a position where you want to have to use it. But ET, if you're nouns, you got a creep wave coming. If you don't find the fight, are you just content with pushing on to the tier 2?
Yeah, it's Wildcard that need to respond here, and they're also the team without a Pango right now. And I think Pango is still just the most crucial member of their team fight, as they also get jumped up into mid. I think Devi, it's just this try of heroes. He's still a little bit tanky, though, and he's got sick charges. I feel like Husky might be the one getting punished here.
Okay. Cold Embrace coming in handy, just the 1 point, but it's enough to sort of disrupt that play. And again, Husky going down is probably a consequence that nouns are okay with, but the fact that Wildcard can sort of even remotely sort of stonewall that aggression from that trio is going to buy them some much-needed time.
Yeah, and still get Glyph out of top by dragging those heroes away from the top tier 2. Have to, and then now any play that Nouns make in the next few minutes is going to result in damage on a tower, as long as they can play on the dire side of the map. But that's where Wildcard are going to try to do the exact opposite. They're going to try and play on the Radiant side. They would love to make a poke at this tier 1 mid, but it's still so difficult to cross the river until we see items like maybe a blink from Sammy Boy. It doesn't feel like they're going to have that same level of confidence. I mean, Moo is just too strong right now. He's just a bulwark, and really no creep wave is going to survive. It's already got the fireball as well. It's just pretty much impossible. Not to mention, disassembled the Arcane Boots into an Aether Lens on the DK. And Moo's known for his kind of cheeky builds on the offlane, but I think this is a first for me.
It's just 100% utility from the DK, not giving a damn about his own damage output, so well, I mean, we'll see if it works. If it keeps him and Z-Freak maybe a little bit more relevant further into the game, then certainly see it working out. And looking at the Bloodseeker and the Lone Druid on the other side, I kind of understand the DK feeling like he doesn't need to build damage specifically.
Yeah, and this is scary. Very scary timing. If Nouns get too close to the cliff, then they could get one wide open, but oh no. Need the cookie. Need help.
Stuttered massively there, so we missed the first few seconds of that fight. It looks like Yamsun, though, is TPing himself away. He is going to be able to make it out. Now they do have to use that Winter's Curse defensively. Sammy is not really going to make it out initially. That's a decent Cold Embrace, but it won't be enough as Z-Freak picks up both of those kills. And, yeah, apologies, folks. It's kind of lagged out for a second there, but it is going to be Nouns taking the fight for 2 for 1.
Yeah, just really clean, really easy. You got to TP out on the Razor, but you also had to. The Rupture was already committed, and oh, maybe they catch Moon a mistake here, but
do they have the damage to do this?
Gunning for it. I don't think so. I think they're just going to have to leave, and actually it's Alexo, and then once the Atos connects, well, Z-Freak's godlike.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, we asked the question when it happened just because we have to, but I think you should have known the answer was no if you're Wildcard before you made that attempt. And I mean, Yamsun was quick to back off. The problem is, once Alexo's committed, he's a Shadow Shaman. You don't get to walk away.
Yep. It's the unfortunate aspect of that hero. The reason why we didn't see him for such a long time in the meta. Having to stand still, completely stand still, basically stun yourself while you're stunning someone else, doesn't always feel the greatest, as Sammy Boy unfortunately also gets taken down top, and now they get Outpost, now they look at Roche, they're gonna check it, they have a Deso on the bear, and then the problems, they're only beginning. Wildcard need, it feels like some sort of Hail Mary play here. They'd love to kill a core immediately with the curse, but so many things need to go right. They need to catch so many Nouns heroes sleeping to honestly make these fights work out, and it still is an issue of just the draft being so much superior. I feel like Wildcard really are struggling just from the get-go here. Now you're going to have an Aegis, probably going to give it over to Gunnar. Then your Bear is just going to be able to go wild regardless of what the Druid's up to. And even though it's not the biggest thing, does he have to even... Okay, I think he... Yep, just got the shard. Didn't even have to pay for it. He's got the Wraith Bands queued up. Once he hits 25, then the Bear's going to get a huge uptick in the armor. And then, will Wildcard have enough damage is going to be the name of the game.
Will they have enough damage right now? It kind of looks like the answer is... The answer is no. Esk, though, he's got the Aghanim Scepter up and running, so his upgrade is there, but... Just feels like more and more of these fights have slipped through their fingers at this point. And ET... I mean, they've been able to pick up 1 or 2 items, but it feels like it still just comes down to Esk having to hit the perfect ult. Is there any other way for them to take this?
And that's why I'm hovering over the Wyvern right now, just to see what his next item is. Is it a Blink Dagger? Is it a BKB? Is it a Bloodthorn? It has to be something. And I think it has to be the Blink, because without that, they're just not finding a play. And maybe once Divide gets his BKB, he'll feel confident enough to actually stay in these fights, but you don't want your Sapphire to just throw his life away. He is your offlaner. He is a very core part of this team. As the jump, the smoke DK had actually missed, but there's the Aether Lens. Might catch him off guard, but this is such a spread out fight.
Very spread out here. They did manage to throw down a Mystic Lair into Esk, but he was able to Cold Embrace and survive for now. Meanwhile, Z-Freak trapped inside of those Serpent Wards, so he may go down, but the rest of the team, they're looking for the kills. Esk is taken out. Yamsun able to pop the BKB and TP away, so they do get 1 core out of there, but this is still just such a struggle for them. They lost 2. Alexo actually, he bought back to rejoin this engagement, but there really isn't an engagement left for him to come back to.
Yeah, it doesn't really amount to anything. And, well, hey, you guys already have Glyph. Might as well kill your tier 1. It'll just refresh for anyway, so who cares here? It's about to be 25 minutes as well, and then that bear is going to shoot up in armor. Not to mention, once he gets items like the AC, he's got a casual buckler right now, but you know that's coming next. I'm just waiting for it. And... 11.
Well...
He's got 2 more. 2 more coming.
He's just going to push onto the tower as well. Meanwhile, what's going on here in the jungle? Moo catches 1. There's the root. There's the silence. There's the Mystic Flare. Sammy is not and almost certainly will never be tanky enough to survive that in this game. It's just a constant option open to them.
Yeah, and hey, in that fight, at the very least, Pango got the godlike kill onto Z-Freak, so 1,000 gold to your Pango. That's going to put him pretty close to his Blink Dagger, but I think right now the biggest success for Wildcard would be if Sammy Boy can force that rupture onto himself. If he can be the one taking the aggression from Coast to Belay, it's just the Razor is taken out of the fight. He's just handled way too well with this rupture, and because he's gone for this Lincoln Sphere as opposed to that refresher, the window for these fights is just too slim. A 6-second BKB doesn't really matter at this point, and with how farmed and how strong Z-Freak is, I feel like so many times we're seeing the Ancient Seal just ruin a team fight. The spell is incredible in itself, but 100% uptime at max level, Z-Freak is just a huge thorn in their side. How many times are we seeing heroes just get interrupted because, well, they can't play versus the Seal? They just get taken down, they get ran at. There's so much vision coming as well from the CK running out ahead. It's why I think teams are starting to adopt this CK. He's just filling that melee 5 role so well, as unfortunately, well, there goes your Pango.
Tried to preemptively roll, but the roar from Gunnar just kind of shuts that down, and, well, I don't know. At this point, it feels like Wildcard, they're still going to have some opportunities, ET, but maybe only 1 or 2 more significant team fights before they're just going to start losing racks and just completely losing control of the game.
Yeah, and okay, Aegis is going to expire here, but if this Aegis isn't going to be the high ground, you know what it's going to be? It's going to be the rest of your map getting closed off. No wildcard heroes can make breaks for it. Nobody is mobile enough, aside from maybe the Pango. Without the boots of travel on Esk, it's not like he can make a break for the lanes, so there's no split push, there's no escape. They don't feel comfortable enough to smoke out into Aegis. Once it expires, maybe we could see a shift in their posture, but until that call is made, we are effectively trapped on Wildcard's side. We cannot make a play. We've got Blink Dagger on Pango. Sammy Boy could try to allot us some space here, but look at how much vision nouns actually have towards bottom. If they aren't careful here with how they break, this is just going to be them really forfeiting a fight. They've got one ward to play on. They see the CK, but they don't want the CK. They want the DK. They want to find Z-Freak, and they find two. This could be their fight.
They've got the Hex, they've got the Stun, they've got the Trap with the wards. They quickly take down Moo. Husky will fall as well. Meanwhile, to the west, Z-Freak trying to get away from Sammy. Not going to be overly successful right now, although... Okay. Z-Freak's able to get away, but as you were saying, that is Rupture used onto Sammy Boy. He is 100% okay with that. And Wildcard finally finding...
bigger.
Breakthrough moment. Very close, but not quite close enough. Gunner gets away.
It's a very unfortunate timing, but, you know, you got to play your outs, right? And that would have been their next huge uptick. Unfortunately, because they go for that play, now you're not going to see any damage on this mid-tier 1, but with death timers as short as they are, it already would have been kind of a risk, but they need to do that again. They kind of need to get lucky there. Both the Bloodseeker and the Lone Druid were maybe split out a little bit too far from their team, so that punish feels very natural, but at the same time, I don't feel like those kills are really going to change all too much on the map here. Nothing has really been felt just yet, but that's also where nouns do have a little bit of an issue. How do we break the high ground? How can we confidently go into the curse? It's where really a lot of this pressure is going to fall into Esk's hands. Is he able to actually use his spell effectively? Will he be happy with what he gets for it? Because as soon as that curse is on cooldown, you know they're going to come for the high ground. You know they're going to push on. They're going to at least force your glyph. They don't have their glyph for another minute 30 here. Nouns is just kind of smoking out right now. Could be a Roche respawning, but they're going to know that it's not up. Instead, they're going to place vision. Going to get these D wards here. Unfortunately, with the ward sentry combo, as soon as they see the ward placed, now Wildcard know where they are, but this is still Wildcard being forced to really retreat off the map here. At least, though, they're going to try and keep the Shaman out on the waves as long as possible.
Alexo TPing back now, so he'll regroup with his teammates and... well, see what Wildcard can find. Sammy's going to go for the Rolling Thunder, hitting onto Z-Freak. They pop Gostable's Lincoln Sphere. The BKB now comes out as well. Now they need the ult. They do manage to get it, but how much damage can they dish out here? Gostable really did not drop very low. He was able to drop the Rupture on to the Razor, so they keep him locked in place. Gunner now tries to come in, doing the damage between himself and the Bear. It's not enough for the kill, but Yamsun is backing away from the fight, and he needs to make sure he just doesn't tick down. There's going to be a Blood right onto him. Is it enough damage in time? No, it's not. But that does mean that Sammy's left kind of out in the open. They'll quickly collapse onto the Pangolier. That's going to force a buyback out. Sammy realizing high ground is now threatened, so he is going to try and rejoin the fight, but there's not a lot that they have to work with. They've already used both of their big ults here between Esk and Yamsun. Can they do this, ET? It's not looking like they have the manpower right now, but Nouns, they're not looking to overcommit here either.
Second Bear. Gunner?
He's just going to lose it. Okay.
Okay, it's time to run now, and a successful hold. I really think Esk is upset right now with himself. That curse, it ruined the tail end of the Pango ulti. They didn't get the burst onto Z-Freak. He actually got to blink out of it. And unfortunately, now they do get to reset and just think about Roche. Thankfully for Wildcard, though, it is a full Roche. It's going to be about a 9.5-minute timer on that pit, so you're not going to see the immediate swing into the objective here. So there's going to be a little bit of time now given over to their side. But I cannot believe how that fight started in the first place. Nouns just did not D-ward. They just placed an obs up here. They didn't feel like they needed the sentry. The ward sentry combo stays for Wildcard, and that's how they get that jump with the Pango, which is just a huge oversight from Husky.
It's kind of lucky that they were still able to power their way through it in the end, but yeah, can't really afford to make too many more mistakes like that. Otherwise, Wildcard could find a way. Could find a way to push themselves back into some of these fights, but good news for Nouns, still a 15k lead. Gostabile is working on a little bit more damage. Just got the Skull Basher, looking for the upgrade of the Maelstrom into the Mjolnir, so are going to hit quite a bit harder moving forward. Gunner, meanwhile, has got the BKB up and running, so maybe they weren't quite able to take the high ground like they wanted, but ET, it feels like they're not overreacting or panicking at the moment.
Yeah, nope. They're getting to calm down a little bit. Certainly feels like they're a little bit happier with their position, and they're, as we say, playing their outs right now. They know that they can kind of afford to take maybe the slow path right now. They're farming up some of their tier 3 neutral items. They still have this incredibly annoying high ground, which is what the Wyvern provides for you. Even though Esk is honestly still pretty level starved, still pretty farm starved, he is actually able to gain quite a bit of speed here. He just picked up the quiver as well, picked up a blank dagger, so now you do have that opportunity for a great curse. Unfortunately, it's where support Wyvern, where you have like the Aether lines and the blink dagger, can feel even stronger, but this is also going to be very potent, and all it takes is one damage item, and then suddenly you're not really able to approach here. And we already saw in that last fight, the bear is killable. It's where the pseudo damage coming in from the Arctic burn, the magic damage coming in, is very obnoxious to deal with, and you are getting leashed, you are getting walked by this Razor when that rupture is committed. I think the biggest loss right now and the biggest target for Nouns to hit, if they take the Pango out in the beginning of any of these fights in the next few minutes, you could see the game blown wide open. Sammy Boy is still the most crucial member for his team. I think he's just been playing really the best on his team. He's been doing everything and then some for them. All of the vision, all of the warding, all of the rolls he's been able to obtain. Just got a shard as well, so you can actually see a chain stun come out from this Pango. But now it's just a matter of time. I think that's why Nouns don't just run into the pit. They know that's where you're going to see this Pango thrive. And actually, Divide, he just ulted for vision.
Drop the wards in the pit too, so now they don't have him for the fight.
Is Sammy just gonna 1v? What is happening right now? I mean, the wards do a lot of damage. This is gonna be a pretty easy Roche kill, but there's no way they don't just flood into the pit on Nouns. Nouns gotta realize something's
The Rap's
up, right?
taking too long. Yeah, they've got to go. Taking way too much time here. Eventually they will move in, but it's Esk who's going to sort of ambush them a little bit. Drops down the ult. That is going to cost Esk his life, but Roche is still dropping. Yamsun wants it. He's into the pit. He's going to be able to pick up everything, but the fight is still ongoing. And oh, Sammy. He is stuck on the high ground. Yamsun's at least able to TP out just in the nick of time there, so they'll at least get him away, but Alexo's not going to be nearly as fortunate. Pulled back down off the cliff by Husky. They'll finish him off, and well, on the one hand, you took Roche. Right, you got Aegis, you got Cheese, you got an Aghanim's upgrade for Yamsun there, so you grabbed everything, but the fight goes honestly pretty horribly for them, and now they're going to lose Sammy as well. Gunner's Bear just completely annihilates the low health Pangolier.
It's just a second on the blink, a second on the swash, and now your crucial defender is gone. The way that fight broke out as well, just terrible. They cursed no one. They tried to stop Z-Freak from making his way into the fight. Now, Yamsun's caught outside the base. He doesn't have his teammates. He's going to lose his first life most likely here. Doesn't even want to use the Cold Embrace on him because, I don't know, it's just going to be set up now. It's where the Wyvern really did get countered in this game. He's going to get cleaned up, but has his BKB in 5 seconds, but will he rupture him is the real question here.
Oh, the root.
Instant root.
Into the rupture. BKB popped. Yamsun, though, nope, you can't push that far forward. He's ruptured up, so they are going to have to Cold Embrace him again.
He's not
that means they get the Mystic Flare.
Oh.
Okay, ate the cheese, popped the refresher, so he's not dead yet, but he has to pop that second BKB. God, this is turning into
time to go.
Such a chaotic fight, but they caught him. They actually got onto the Bloodseeker. The Cookie Stun catches him. He didn't see it through the trees. And Nouns, this might be a little bit of a mistake on their part. Gunner has to hold his ground and fight. He's at least able to take Alexo down, but he has to cut through those Serpent Wards. While he does so, though, Moo in. There's going to be the stun. Z-Freak follows it up with a Mystic Flare, so Yamsun does get taken down. And now, if you're Wildcard, I don't really know if you want to be here anymore, but they don't have a choice. S gets stunned up. Secondary stun in from Moo. They're going to take down the Wyvern. ET, they just get a little too excited there on Wildcard. That's a massive overextension for them, and I mean, they get Kostavle. That's very impressive, but they probably should have stopped there.
No, as soon as they get this kill here, they just felt like they could get onto the Lone Druid. They could kite him out. They accidentally waltz up to the high ground there, right into Husky's vision, and then they just lose the fight incredibly handily. At first, it felt like a huge mistake from Nouns, though, on the high ground here. I don't know how the Razor was not stunned immediately out of that Cold Embrace. It's not like they're spell immune, but with them dropping that, it created the opportunity for Yamsun to go in, but unfortunately, this is where the Chaos Bolt, it's so obnoxious. The Wraith Pact is down. These heroes really are not going to feel any of this damage here. Samuel, he's trying his best. He's trying to stun up the bear, but AC is about to be completed as well, and then suddenly you don't need the Bloodseeker to take these buildings. You can just be very careless. You can be very easygoing here. I feel like Wildcard, it might be time to switch their targets. It might be time to look for the DK. I Maybe you don't get him before he gets the BKB off, but Moo has been able to get so many Dragon Tails off in these fights. It feels like that shouldn't be allowed.
I mean, this item build is just being so incredibly valuable for Moo, and we talked about it earlier when we saw him start with that
Oh,
Aether Lens. All he has to do is this. That is the single play, the only play Moo needs to make. Blink in, stun, leave the rest to his teammates. So he went all in on an item build that let him do it every time, and they are reaping the rewards here as Moo, another stun onto Yamsun. They're going to just pull him in. Esk has to try and pop the ult, but it's really only onto the Bear and the CK, so this does not accomplish what they wanted. Yamsun is able to at least fall back, but he's not in a great position. Moo, meanwhile, blinking forward. Another stun onto Esk, keeping the Wyvern out of the fight, while the Bear finishes off the racks, and the Megas have been acquired.
yeah, and unfortunately for Wildcard, you are not a fantastic Megas team. You didn't have the refresher in the first place, so I don't think Yemsun wanted to push into that fight in the first place, but at the same time, everything that Z-Freak and Moo have done in this game, every Dragon Tail followed up by just easy damage, free kills. Z-Freak's level 21. He has been doing so much alongside Moo. It really is just a blink stun from a little bit too far away, something you don't expect. I think the Aether Lens is really just catching the Wildcard off guard. They're not expecting these jumps to work out. They're not really aware of what's going on before it happens, and no Force Staffs across the board. I think that is really the stark thing here. Just eating all of this magic damage every single time. You've seen Divide trying to cookie heroes out of that Mystic Flare, but even then, it's so slow comparatively, and without Divide having something like even an Aghanim Scepter, I feel like that might have been a better solution for what's been going on here. As again, doesn't get it that time, doesn't Force Staff first, maybe thought that it was going to get popped by the Reality Rift, but everything is just such a big threat now, and if Nouns really want to, could see them wait for Roche. More likely, though, maybe finish off this next batch of items, and then they might just go for the end.
Unfortunately, if you're Yamsun, you did have to use that first ult. Well, not sure he had to, but he did use the first ult there because he thought he was getting jumped in on, so you're only going to have one Eye of the Storm for the next engagement. Although, well, let's see how long they can wait, because it's 30 seconds out from being back up off cooldown. Maybe they can buy that much time, because, well, as you were saying, for Nouns, they could wait, they could push now if they wanted to, but they have options open to them, so not necessarily feeling a sense of urgency here to close out right now, otherwise they'd be in trouble. They can kind of take their time.
Yeah, and I feel like it might be appraising Wildcard strength right now, seeing what they can actually build up with Megas coming into the base. Really, the only one who's kind of capable of killing these Mega Creeps is just the Razor with the Eye of the Storm. Everyone else needs to use a considerable amount of mana before they're actually able to make anything like that happen. Even giving the Tome over to Esk, just trying to get that level 20 talent. I don't know if he's going to take the slow or the Splinter Blast damage. Should probably take the Arctic Burn slow, but at the same time, I feel like it would almost be worth it to get the Cold Embrace Ag Shard and then have the Splinter Blast damage just for a little bit more wave clear. Because the new problem is going to become, well, with all of these Mega Creeps always in the base, always giving vision for Nouns, it's only a matter of time before you get DK stunned, and then you die, and then you use buyback, and then the creeps come in again, and then you're just so behind the exchange. And look at Yamsun, they do it clean, and it's clean.
The initiation is there. The Cold Embrace comes out. The Cookie's going to move him out from the Mystic Flare. The problem is it pushed him back into the fight, so yeah, they'll take Yamsun down. He doesn't have buyback, and now the House of Cards will just topple over. The GG will be called, and Nouns, they take the game, and they are heading to the Grand Finals, ET.
Yeah, it's an easy qualification, super well-deserved 2-0. That was just a dramatic way, again, the game one was finished off, but in game two here, felt like they had everything. The better draft, the better heroes, the better plays coming in for such a long time. It felt like Wildcard were not able to find their openings. It felt like it was constantly Nouns aggressing onto their side of the map. It felt like constantly Nouns were the ones who were actually making the plays, and they didn't make plays for a very long time. It was just a waiting game. It was 20, 25 minutes where you finally saw them start to play seriously, start to finally get active on the other side of the map. And I mean, Z-Freak and Moo, we've seen this DK Sky combo many, many times, and usually it's on the losing side of a game where they're able to get a cheeky kill here or there, but this was clockwork for them. So many cores, so many kills out early. And Wildcard, even though they had last pick, this Bloodseeker pick ruined them. It ruined everything they wanted to do with their cores this game. It's why they have to go for the awkward shuffle to make anything happen. And honestly, even though it's a little bit of a sad game for Sammy Boy on his Pango, 14 deaths, and I feel like he was the most impactful player. He was playing so well. He was the only one, I want to say, keeping them in this game for such a long time. Everybody else has such a difficult hero to execute. The Pango really is the playmaker you need, but even with that performance, it's just simply not enough. We saw glimpses of it. Even Yamsun ends the game with only 2 deaths, but it just simply isn't enough. Nouns were just a mountain they had to overcome, and they weren't able to do it today.
Wildcard, I mean, despite me misspeaking at the start of the game, they're not out of the event. They dropped down to the lower bracket final, so they will get another shot to push their way forward and maybe get an opportunity for revenge if they can fight their way to the grand final. But for now, they are the losers of this one. They will drop down, and they've got some tape to study, maybe some lessons to be learned from this one. I think they could honestly feel pretty good about game one just because it ends in such a strange fashion. But the second game, as you said, they really just got worked over by their opponents.
Yeah, and even though you had some staples in this game, of course, the Moo Dragon Knight, they always decide to do this. But once you get nouns seeded into a playoff bracket, they are here to play. They are here to expand their hero pools. They're here to show you off everything, and then they'll change it up in the grand finals now. It's where they're such a scary team heading into that best of 5, where they've played 60 heroes across the entire tournament, where what do you actually ban out at the end of the day versus this team? I think coming into the grand finals, those first phase bans are going to be so important for this team. What are you actually going to do? Where can you narrow them down? Because right now it feels like they can pick whatever they want, and they just have a plan for it.
Yeah, they are playing at an incredibly high level right now, too high for Wildcard to match up against. So congratulations to Nouns. They move on to the grand final. They will play it up in that best of 5 tomorrow afternoon. For now, though, they get a chance to just sort of sit back and watch the carnage unfold down in that lower bracket. So they have earned themselves a bit of a break here, and we are going to be getting ourselves an interview here with a member of Nouns. I believe we're going to get Z-Freak here, but not 100% sure just yet. That is what production's sort of whispering in my ear. So winner's interview is going to be coming up. We'll step away for just a second to actually get the player in here and get ourselves set up. But don't go anywhere just yet. We have that interview coming your way in just a minute or two. Okay. Yo? Oh, hold on. Sorry. We're all wearing our sunglasses here. I gotta fit in with kids. There we go. Hello everybody. Welcome back to the BTS Pro Series 11. We are ready to go with our winner's interview here as we got Z-Freak coming by to talk to us. So, before we start asking you any of the questions, congratulations on the 2-0 and getting into that grand final.
Thank you.
Now the hard-hitting stuff happens. By that I mean we're going to ask you some really dumb questions. First question. ET and I were sort of wondering about it in that first game. The entire game shifts on that last fight around the Aegis, just to sort of clear it up because we were giving you the benefit of the doubt. Did you guys have the timer? Did you know that was an expiring Aegis at the moment you went in?
Yeah, we knew. It's a lot easier now that you can click on the hero and just see the 14 seconds. And then someone just yells it. And then literally have a countdown going through Discord until you can kill the hero because it's right there on your screen. We probably cheat a little bit with the
It's
countdown,
cheating.
but you
It's
know,
cheating. It's
it's in the
cheating.
game now. It's a feature.
Ah, yes, a feature, not a bug.
I
Yeah,
mean,
so
it's definitely a feature. It's definitely not a bug. But
No, I know.
so yeah, game one goes in that sort of weird way. Game two, obviously, not nearly as sort of drastic. I do want to ask you guys though, with the lone druid pick for Gunnar, kind of a signature thing for him. Did Gunnar call his own shot? Did he ask for the lone druid, or did you guys sort of say, like, you're playing this LD?
I mean, he loves the hero. It's more that we haven't really played it on stream lately because it's banned every single game for the past like 4 months. But someone doesn't ban it, gotta you gotta do it to him.
Gotta punish him. Gotta make him feel the hurt.
Uh, gotta get it back on the first 2 ban list. Can't let him get
Expected.
comfortable.
speaking of sort of comfort, you looked pretty damn comfortable on that Skywrath in that game. 14 kills, led everyone in that match, and ET and I were commenting, Moo sort of went for just the exclusively utility build to sort of set that up. Were you guys just planning that from the start of just, hey, we have this sort of free kill combo, we're just going to abuse the hell out of it?
I mean, yeah, you just 16, 17 the stun plus Skywrath, and you're just gonna run around the map together. It's probably more the Razor pick and the Wyvern core that makes him go for the more utility build. Like he can't actually stand in the fights on that hero, no matter what role it played. So he's just stunning and running.
And what did you guys think when you saw that it was Esk who picked up the Wyvern? What do you think about the core attempt there?
We were actually kind of joking in the pregame, like, what are their lanes? Everyone was typing in their guesses. I didn't guess the Wyvern mid. I'll admit I didn't have that one on my
We
list.
didn't either. We did not either. We
I
weren't ready for it.
what was their last pick again? I don't remember which hero it was.
Shaman. It was
I was like,
Shaman.
it's the mid Shadow Shaman.
It could have been. That
That's
would have
what
been
I was
cool.
pulling for. I thought the Wyvern 5 made a lot of sense, you know. I don't think that their top lane is supposed to do anything if we don't get triple first blooded, but you know, shit happens.
Able to bounce back from it quite nicely, but that's all I had for myself question wise. I'll throw it over to ET at this point.
Yeah, what do you want from this next patch, Z-Freak? I got to ask Yarn yesterday, do you want to see melee heroes come back? Do you want to see that roamer potential come back in any form? If you would have it any way your way, what would you like to see be your next, 3 heroes that you're gonna play for the next 3 months?
Does it have to be heroes?
Yeah, it can be
So
heroes.
I
It
don't
could be a
really
play style. It could be something like that.
I don't have very strong opinions on the heroes I want to come back. I'm pretty much down to play whatever's good at the time. But and I would love some map changes. It has been a long time. I feel like it took us a little bit of time, but I think Dota players have actually learned how to play the map pretty well now, at least at the competitive level. And it would be nice to see a shake up, you know. Maybe maybe have an outpost you can interact with before, the end of the game. I don't know.
Yeah, instead of the tier twos, actually have early rotations around the map, something like that.
Yeah,
It'd
I
be
mean,
cool. It'd be
they
cool.
got they got added to the game. You had all these really cool fights like every 5 minutes on the edges of the map, and global heroes were abusive. It was fun. Now they're just kind of there.
Yeah, you just ignore them until you are radiant, and then you take it, and then you are just
Yeah,
happy you
and then
have
you
an
kill Roche.
outpost. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it just works. The only other thing I guess to talk about is you guys have so many heroes, so many different first phase drafts that you've run so far in the tournament. Going into grand finals, I guess I don't want to give up too much of your strategies, but what do you think teams should ban versus you, or is that too much into giving away your own strats? What do you really think is going to be your best play here? Because it has been you guys picking whatever you want. I think you have the most varied hero picks by like 5 or 7 degrees. Nobody else can really beat you in that regard. You've played way too many heroes.
Uh, I'd probably target ban. I think there's too much crap that all of us will play, so you kind of just have to pick one player and go ban, 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 ban. And,
It
you
just
know,
makes sure that one guy doesn't get anything.
yeah,
It just hope
you
it's
can.
not you.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
what I
that
do.
seems right. Are you sick of Storm?
I don't think it'll work though, by the way. But that's what I would do. I
Don't
think you
think
just
it'll
have to
work.
pick your own draft and play Dota against us at this point. I think we're pretty comfortable playing too much stuff to really be banned out that hard.
Mm-hmm. And out of the 3 teams that are left, as my cam dies, anybody you're most scared of? Of course, you could do just to a wild card. Maybe you're not scared of anyone, but is there anyone you could say gunning for into those grand finals, regardless of this series we're about to have coming up?
Mm, not really. We just like to play against whoever we're going to play against. Don't really think too much about the possible futures. See who wins. And
Yeah,
prep.
a man in the moment. Thank you so much for talking to us, Seafrick. It's always a pleasure hearing from you.
Yeah.
Very much to Z Freak for coming and talking to us here, and Hammerback ET. So all is well in the world, and we are going to be moving along to that next series in just a little bit. It is going to be down to the lower bracket. Infamous versus Dog Champ. That one is, I believe, about 10 minutes away. So we will be stepping aside, but that series is coming up in just a little bit. So stick around.